Alright folks, how's it going? Just a very quick how-to video. It's a very simple one, but one that is quite easy to get wrong, as I found out. If you've got one of these bottle rinsers, then you'll probably have a bent spring, because if you try and just put it together as you would think you would put it together, the spring just bends, and once it's bent, you ain't getting it straight again, I guarantee you. So yeah, I actually had to get another one of these because this is the type that fits on top of the bottle tree. So you've got, I don't know if you can see this too well, but you've got 1, 2, 3 little feet, and then you've got the sort of the opposing ones, if you like, that are on top of the bottle tree. Now when I put this on, I pushed it down a little bit, and just round the bottom of one of these feet cracked. So the liquid just pissing out the bottom. And one of my friends quite rightly said you could just use that bit in a bowl instead of that, which could have saved me buying another one. But the reason I went and bought another one is I bent the shit out of my spring anyway. So it still worked, but I was just thinking, one day I'm going to go and start bottling and this thing ain't going to be working. And then I could do it the hard way, but you know, you're better to be prepared. So I went and bought another one. So I've got a few spare parts anyway, just in case I ever need them. But this is the technique for putting it together without bending the spring. So I shall run through it. Now, you know, I would expect, as most people would, that when you buy this thing, you just put it together and screw it together. And you would think if there was a particular technique required, they would mention it in the instructions, and they don't. So you would think you would just stick the spring in there, push that down, turn it, but when the spring is in that part there, it's held pretty securely, it can't turn. So if you try and compress that and start turning it, you're starting to either unravel or further compress the spring. I'm not sure, but you're trying to turn it anyway, and because it's held at that end with the compression and it's held at that end, you start turning it and the spring just goes, it just pops out. And now this little ridge in here is pretty shallow, and I think that's a big design flaw in this, to be fair. That ridge should be a lot deeper, and if it was, then the spring couldn't pop out, but it does. So this is how you get around the problem. Put the spring in as you normally would. I'll turn side on so you can see this. So put the spring in there and the little ridge as you normally would, and compress the spring down, but instead of starting to turn this collar, push the central column in further. I'm covering this with my hand, it's looking a bit awkward, but if you push that middle bit in, so you're compressing the spring further, then when you turn this larger collar, the only bit that's turning is that, and your spring is held totally in position. There you go, easy. And your spring is still nicely anchored in the middle of that. Now obviously, if you're taking this apart, some people just leave these made up, but if you need to take it apart for whatever reason, storage, whatever, and just remember that central bit, just do it in reverse. So central bit, central column pushed in, undo that bit there, which is not turning the spring, and voila, there you go, one straight spring. There you go, easy when you know how. I hope that's of some use to somebody. Alright, bye.